Should disability-related sickness be recorded differently in regard to automatic triggering stages? There's actually no right answer to this, but there are lots of considerations. If a company tries to dismiss someone because of the amount of absences they've had, and those absences are related to their disability, then it would be considered disability discrimination. And I've actually covered a number of tribunal cases on this in my Tribunals Tales playlist. For example, one nurse had over 300 related absences to her disability, got dismissed, and managed to sue the company. But that isn't always true. So with disabilities often come reasonable adjustments. A reasonable adjustment could be an amendment to the amount of triggers you're allowed. You have to remember that reasonable adjustments are specific to an individual person, and what's considered reasonable depend on the circumstances. But an example of a reasonable adjustment could be not counting some or all sickness absences related to a disability, or increasing the number of absences that will trigger a review. Another example could be recording disability absence separate to other sickness absence. And when reviewing someone's sickness, an employer needs to consider how much time they might need off, the impact of the person not making an adjustment, and the impact on the organisational team. An employer does not have to make an adjustment if they're not reasonable, but they need to make sure they're not putting the person at a disadvantage because of their disability. Otherwise, as I said, it could lead to disability discrimination. And what is reasonable depends on each situation. An employer has to remove or reduce the disadvantage, it needs to be practical and affordable, and consider the health and safety of others. The employer does not have to change the basic nature of the job. So no, it doesn't have to be recorded differently, but how it's treated in regard to automatically triggering stages could be important. Because if they don't take all of those things into consideration, and they dismiss someone without making any of those considerations, they could find themselves in employment tribunal.